Hey everyone, sorry I haven't made a video lesson in the past few weeks. We just really haven't seen many volatile and just good stocks to talk about. The past 3 weeks now have been very slow for small caps and pretty terrible for long biased traders. We've seen so many all day fades and so many short opportunities, but for us long traders, there just hasn't been that much. That has changed though ever since last week, last Thursday we had OTLK that is now up over 300%. And today alone, we had BIOC that spiked from market open up 120%. So, I mean, like, think about that. Overall, like, the overall market looks to make 10% per year on a yearly basis. And we've had stocks go up 300% in 3 days and 120% in like 8 hours. So it just goes to show, if you can trade these right, if you know the proper ways to trade these, you can seriously grow your account. Because like if you have $1,000 to your name, making 10% per year isn't going to cut it. It just isn't going to cut it whatsoever. You need to have that fast exponential growth. And that's what penny stocks have given me. And that's what they've given so many of my students. So with all that being said, I'm going to go into a video lesson on how I traded BIOC today. The lowest trade that I had in BIOC was 115 and I sold that at 150. So making nearly 50%. And I had lots of other trades in there as well that really boosted my profits. So let's get into it. All right, so here we are on my screen share. And here is my actual trades I placed on BIOC today. You can see this is not paper trading. It's all real. It's all verified. Now keep this in mind. I'm not claiming to be, an extremely amazing trader. I don't use tens of thousands of shares per trade. Frankly, I like to keep it small and simple. One of the reasons why is because it just works better with me and my emotions. And number two, I really try to keep it realistic with my students. It doesn't do you much justice to watch someone who makes, $6,000 in a single day. However, they're using 100 grand to trade with. It just doesn't benefit you as a trader because like most of you probably have less than $5,000 that you can trade with, if that. So, when I'm trading within TradeBuddy, I really try to keep it realistic with my students. I don't use that much size. Usually each trade I use around $4,000, usually less. And I aim to have the big picture moves making at least 10% plus. So, with that being in mind, let me just break down some of these awesome trades that we had from members today. We had a lot of awesome trades, mainly on OTLK and pre-market. But here's Danielle, entered 230, out 270, made 21%. Here's me entering BIOC off 117. Every single trade I place, the chat room knows ahead of time exactly where I'm entering and what my plan is. Here's Metan, in from 216, out at 28. Very nice. Thomas in 107, out 115. Me again trading OTLK at 267 and selling 287, making 20 cents a share. And TSS in and out real quick. 5,000 shares, made $1,700. So some awesome trades. And like I said, every single day with all my trades, I break them all down. Not just giving entries and exits, but like mainly giving my plan and my strategy for exactly why I got into these trades. So that's what we're going to do today with BIOC. So BIOC, this popped up on my pre-market scans, has a 9.16 million share float. Let me just expand this out a bit. We don't need to see those other charts. And they released news today that they announced clinical validation and commercial launch of its target sector multi-gene liquid biopsy panel for lung cancer. And that is very decent news. They have new validation for their clinical studies, and they have a new commercial launch. That means they're going to start making revenues. So that's a very strong news release for these penny stocks. And I was saying during the pre-market webinar that I really want to wait until BIOC can break out above the pre-market highs, because BIOC has a history of just not being a strong stock. If you look at the daily chart, it has history of, it's usually a 1-day runner, and it just has a history of just not being an amazing stock to trade. So understanding that, that's why I wanted to wait and see exactly how well this can hold the breakout of pre-market highs. This is a strategy that I teach all the time, and this is the main strategy that I use every single day. There's no gimmicks to it. There's no secrets, no crazy indicators. Matter of fact, let me get rid of this because I don't even need this. It's all just based on support and resistance. So to me, a stock isn't truly bullish until it's able to break out of its pre-market range. And that would be this 116 resistance. So market opens up, it finds support at 107, and it breaks out of 116. It breaks out and it spikes up a few cents a share. So now my plan is in place. I know that as long as previous resistance holds as support, the stock will be uptrending. Let me repeat that again. As long as previous resistance holds as new support, this stock will be uptrending. So now it's a very simple case. I'm going to buy the previous resistance, and I'm going to assume that it will hold as support. But keep in mind, I'm not predicting that it will. I'm assuming that there's a chance that it will. See, this is a strategy that I have tested and tracked for years. The past 4 years of my trading has led to basically this strategy. And I have found out that this works about 65% of the time if you choose the right stocks. So what that means is that you can buy into this previous resistance as new support, and you can risk about 4%, and you can make at least 12%. So you guys see how easy this gets when you have the proper strategy and plan. So what I did is I bought into BIOC. Once I saw the breakout happen over 120s, I just threw some orders down, 119, 118, 117, 116, 115, just spreading it out. And ultimately, I was risking the break of around 112. So risking about 5 to 6 cents a share. And my goal was to make at least 12 cents a share, and even more, of course. So that's what I did with BIOC. Now keep in mind, I didn't know that this play would have held this time, but if it didn't, I just would have taken the loss, and it is what it is. You guys have to understand that there's no way to have a 100% win rate in trading. You have to be willing to risk the money once you jump into the trade. Once I jumped into BIOC, I was completely accepting the fact that this could become a loser. But I was also accepting the fact that if I stick to my plan, I could turn this into a pretty big winner. And that's what I did with BIOC. So one thing with BIOC that I did kind of wrong is I was focusing very hard on this resistance in the 130s. So like from 123 to 136, I was focusing really hard on this resistance here, and I believed that it would not be able to break out over that price. And that's why you can see on my trades, that's why I was selling in the 128s and 127, 126. So let me just break down my trades on this chart so it's a bit easier to see. So you can see once it broke out, I didn't buy the breakout. I waited until it actually broke out, and then I placed orders right on top of that previous resistance price right there. So I'm not buying the actual breakout. I'm waiting for the price to come back to me at the best possible price. And then just because we knew that there was resistance at the 128 level, I took off some shares just to pay myself off. There's no harm, there's no shame in doing that. And then I knew, and I actually even said this in the chat room, BIOC will possibly pull back to 116 and get more consolidation. The 5-minute hasn't had a pullback since market open. I posted that at 7:15 a.m. That was right here on this pullback to 118. And I said it'll probably pull back to 116, that previous resistance. And look where I bought, 115, even better than that. And then I just sold those same shares into that same resistance that I saw. Now, the main thing I did wrong with this is I just sold too many of my shares. I should have really only sold like another maybe 2,000, if that. But even after all these trades, I still had 1,000 shares that I just let ride up. And I sold that all the way up here at 152s. And frankly, it looks like it's squeezing even higher. So I still probably sold too soon. But the main thing is that this chart follows the same chart that so many of these big runners do. They just follow the same pattern of previous resistance holding as new support. We can see if we use the line chart, it's very, very, very clear. Let me just erase all these real quick. We can see right here off of 106, the previous resistance held as new support. Right here, 116. The previous resistance held as new support 2 times. Right here, 126. The previous resistance, when it broke out, held as new support. Happened all the way up. And then it found support in the mid 140s. Resistance at 171, which was on the daily chart. I'll show you that right now. There was right here 158 was a line, and then if you go to the candlestick chart, we can see 171 was the top wick, the very high of that day on the 14th of March. So using those lines, we can see, okay, it did have resistance at 158. And this is the one that it didn't hold as support, and that's why I was stopped out. Because to me, I know that as long as the stock holds previous resistance as new support, it is overall going to be uptrending. The minute that it cannot hold that previous resistance as support, that tells me, okay, it's losing steam, it's time to jump ship. And that's what I did. It's the same pattern that happens all the time on these bullish stocks. It just really depends on finding the right stocks to trade and following the strategy that you're given. I'm assuming that if you stuck around all this time, you must have really enjoyed that video lesson. If you want to continue your learning with me, I just opened up a free trading workshop. You can register completely for free, no strings attached, and you're going to get access to 3 training videos that break down exactly the secrets that no one is telling you about how to trade profitably. And I'm also going to be giving you access to my top PDFs. Number 1, my free book, How to Day Trade Every Single Morning. Number 2, my personal trading checklist. Let me show you right here. This right here that I use every single day to plan my trades. And also, I will give you a list of the top 10 most profitable trade strategies of 2019. So you can check all this out in the first link down below. And I really hope to see you in there. Keep in mind that I give out these workshops once a week, and there's only about 30 spots per week. So make sure you get in there now, click the link below, and I'll see you inside.